you can only keep me away from this topic for so long. It's pretty much comes down to either I talk about it here or, I just incessantly talk about it with my friends and family, and those people are probably just about ready to kill me because they're so sick of hearing about it. But I'm deeply, deeply, immensely fascinated in the housing market of the crash of 2008. And I just feel like the current economic situation, we are living in the precursor to what I think and theorize might be significantly worse if it ever actually comes to fruition, which is the AI bubble, right? I think everyone's almost more sick of hearing about the AI bubble than they are hearing about AI. But I do think that this is a issue that is very separate from the actual AI technology that's being toted around. It's also an amalgamation of so many levers and factors about the general economic, the stock market that I have been a little bit skeptical of for especially the last, 5 years, ever since COVID, this sort of number must go up mentality where perpetual endless growth, and the growth is exponential, and there's never going to be a negative consequence for driving that. And kind of the big red flags that I'm seeing right now is, I was looking at this paper that was published by a independent financial firm by one of the guys who's a partner there, and he wrote this paper kind of analyzing some of the data, the financial numbers behind it, mainly being that 10 startups that have not turned a dollar in profit have increased their valuation by $1 trillion collectively in the last year, which is like a completely unheard of and almost make-believe sounding metric. We have just so much of this theoretical value that's being added to the market. And while I think a lot of traditional, kind of capitalists and pro-American sentiment would say that that's a good thing because the stock market's going up, unfortunately, I think the stock market has for a long time and continues to drift from the reality of what the American people are feeling. And one of the reasons I think that why that is because the gamification, we've just turned everything into a betting app. Everything is about high risk, high reward. And so there are a lot of people who are very incentivized to make sure that no matter what, those mechanics of the stock market continue to go up regardless of what's actually happening in the material world of the average day Americans. And, I've said, I think for maybe a good year now, that I firmly believe there is something suspicious about the AI hype machine, only because we had just come off of the NFT kind of crypto craze that the tech market was pushing. That obviously collapsed to a really significant degree. Prior to that, there was Meta or Facebook changing their name to Meta because they were saying that the metaverse and VR and AR and stuff was going to be the future. That really never came to fruition. Then we even had things like 5G was going to be the future and Web 3.0. And, there's just been so many of these kind of hype promises from the tech sector that is really beneficial to their market number and their valuation, but doesn't actually come to fruition. Now, those were all relatively harmless things that happened, but the difference this time is that the AI, the way that artificial intelligence is structured and the amount of compute and hardware that it takes to produce this product is generating a level of debt accumulation that has just simply never been seen before in human history. So, as we see these companies like OpenAI and Anthropic and Google and Meta increasingly invest more and more into a seemingly black hole, there's no clear way as to how AI is going to turn itself around in terms of being able to make a profit. Whether or not that day will come, I think the burn rate in which they're burning venture capital is just simply too great. It is too much of they are on a constant fundraising campaign, these companies. And what I found particularly disturbing was today I saw a clip of Sam Altman kind of beginning to refer to the government as an insurance for all of these. He admitted that or the way he phrased it and structured it was saying, the implications of AI and the effect that it could have on the economy is something that the government should be kind of considering ensuring. And what I see that is him massaging the narrative for a bailout. And I think that is essentially what's going to happen, because you've seen more and more, Mark Zuckerberg had also alluded, he said that it's very possible that they've overinvested and overextended themselves on the AI. And so when you have these companies starting to acknowledge the bubble in some form, and Sam Altman in this case saying like, well, the government should step in and be the insurance company. I think he's also trying to make investors feel better about the fact that they're seeing more and more of this kind of like, is this a bubble narrative happening? But where it, again, to go back to why this could be really, really bad is because there's so much money invested. We're talking about something bigger than, mortgage-backed investments that we saw in 2008. We're talking about, $400 billion, a company like NVIDIA that is valuated at $5 trillion going under. And these companies, these like maybe collection of 10 companies, make up a vast swath, I think a third, maybe even approaching a half, I don't know, but like a third of the US economy and almost 100% of the GDP. And so if those companies go out, I don't think, again, the numbers involved here, I don't think the US economy can bail them out. I think they are simply, we're talking too much money. There's just too much at stake. And so this kind of begs, I think as even these companies are recognizing that they might need a bailout potentially if this all goes south, I think we're starting to, again, we're looking at this idea of profits are privatized, the success is privatized to a select few, but the losses and the pain are felt by the many. It's diversified. We all feel it. And I think in order to save us, we are going to need an incredibly aggressive government to stand up to that mentality. And I think we are far from having that. And you can point to the .com bubble, which I know a lot of people like to bring up. And while that is a legitimate thing, I mean, we were a different country. We were a completely different country during the .com bubble. The market was not nearly as huge. The money that we are involved in this, it was nowhere near. I mean, we're talking like 10 times the amount of money that's now involved. But also, most importantly, at that time, the country was producing lots of things. We had lots of strong sectors. Now, we pretty much just have technology and healthcare. Those are our two valuable GDP sectors of our country. And so if tech goes down, I think it's going to take the entire U.S. economy with it. And I think it's going to be pretty awesome, like in the most literal sense of the word. I think it'll be something that we've never seen before. Now, I hope I'm wrong. Probably am, because I'm wrong about just about everything. But this feels really real. And there's a lot of people who know about this a lot more than me who share this opinion. And so I feel a little bit motivated to at least feel like there's some validity involved in this. And I know it sounds very doomsday, and I don't know what anybody is supposed to do about this. But I do just think personally, there needs to be more of a conversation around what happens when we let these companies become too big to fail. And then beyond that, what happens when we let these valuations become too big to bail them out? Because I think we've been playing a very dangerous game. I think we have become a country that is our capitalism has become a system that rewards risky investment and risky gambling. And we're going to pay for that. We have to. And if not now, at some point, but I don't see a way where suddenly all of this, trillions of dollars essentially in investment just somehow doesn't go bust at the rate that they're spending money. I mean, I implore you to look at some of these numbers and to really wrap your mind around how many billions that OpenAI is losing a year, how much it costs them for you to use ChatGPT, how much it costs, how much debt SoftBank is accumulating in order to back these investments is just staggering. I mean, we are really talking about something much greater than a mortgage. We're talking about GDPs of countries that we're spending we're burning into thin air. I just do not see how this turns around. But that's one man's opinion. Again, I enjoy this topic, not even from the doomsday perspective, while there is something kind of exhilarating about that, even if it is for negative reasons. I also just feel like I'm getting to watch something potentially very historic happen right before my eyes. And so I'm locked in and I'm so interested. And I think other people should at least be open to the idea of this being a complete, we are on the eve of a potential collapse. That's just my take. But again, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm so wrong. And I probably am. But I'm also just saying it out loud so that, I don't know. I guess I have a little bit of an I told you so moment, although it's not going to feel very fun on the other side. Trust me, that I told you so that I'm predicting is going to not feel fun. It's going to be deeply, deeply scary and difficult to swallow. So on that note, I hope you have a great night. Thanks for getting this far into the video, and I'll be back tomorrow with some more content.